Anil's watch was an ancient thing, heavy on his wrist. A patchwork of scratched glass and a worn-out leather strap. Its hands forever frozen at 5:47. The watch had stopped ticking years ago. But Anil never even thought about fixing it or replacing it. It had been his grandfather's, passed down the day the old man slipped away, leaving behind a house echoing with half-told stories and the lingering aroma of sandalwood. Each morning, as sunlight streamed through his bedroom window, Anil buckled the broken watch around his wrist. His wife, Nidhi, always watched with mild confusion. Anil, she would tease, "It's just jewelry now." He'd only smile, his fingers brushing the cold metal. To him was a constant reminder of his grandfather's laughter and the little lessons he had scattered through life, like breadcrumbs. Time isn't what's on the clock, Beta, it's what's in the moments you remember, his grandfather used to say. That Friday began with the familiar chaos of city sounds, the clang of vendors' bells, the relentless beeping of auto rickshaws, a tea, the harmonies of distant songbirds almost lost in the cacophony. Anil rushed through his breakfast, reviewing numbers in his head for an upcoming audit. While his son Arav recited a poem in the kitchen, Anil barely noticed. His head was already at the office. He dashed out the door, calling a hurried goodbye to Nidhi and Arv, and jogged to the bus stop. As he boarded, an old friend, Prakash, spotted the battered watch and grinned. "Hey Anil, still wearing that antique? Must be worth something by now." Prakash nudged him. "You know, there are apps for time now." Anil grinned back. "Maybe, but this one's got stories that apps can't hold." They laughed, and Prakash shook his head, mumbling, hopelessly sentimental. Work passed in a blur of meetings, deadlines, and emails that bled into one another. But all day, every time Anil's eyes fell on the silent hands of his watch, he remembered sitting cross-legged next to his grandfather on cool tiled floors, listening to stories about old Bombay, of standing for hours at Marine Drive watching the tides, and of the day his grandfather fell in love at a railway station, simply because he was waiting for a train that never arrived. That evening, Anil's boss called. "Can he stay and finish these reports tonight?" he asked, not unkindly, but expecting an easy yes. But as Anil looked at the endless rows of data, his gaze drifted again to the watch, the time unchanged. At that moment, he remembered his grandfather's words. "When you're not sure what to do, think about who's waiting at home." Anil smiled apologetically. "I'm sorry, sir. I promised my parents I'd visit tonight. I'll come in early tomorrow." On the bus home, he stared out at the city, bathed in an amber glow, traffic fizzing with impatience. He remembered that his parents, older and slower now, waited for him to join them for dinner, a rare and cherished occurrence. The thought filled him with anticipation he hadn't recognized in weeks. When he arrived at their flat, his mother beamed, and his father, half lost in memories and half lost to age, offered up stories of his own. Over spiced dal and warm rotis, they laughed, gossiped, and remembered his grandfather, their hearts ticking in unison, if not their watches. As night settled, Anil hugged his parents goodbye and walked home, feeling lighter. He realized, as he often did, that spending time on the moments that matter would always outlast the ticking of any clock. Later, as he tucked Arav into bed, his son asked, "Why does your watch never work, Papa?" Anil ruffled his hair and replied, "Because sometimes the most important times stay in our hearts, not on our wrists." The next morning, the watch was still stopped at 5:47, and Anil wore it with pride. A small, silent rebellion against a world obsessed with keeping time rather than making it. What we cherish keeps time in our hearts. Please subscribe for more motivational stories. Please share your stories of motivation in comments, and we will make a video on that.